really the Macedonians who come up with this. They create a combined arms military that uses the infantry and the cavalry working together. And that is a very, very...
You know, probably way more that wouldn't get as much media attention. So that's just something I'm kind of cautious about.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think your concerns are legitimate. I think that's a totally fair argument. I think that any impacts that are happening on other countries because of the actual
benefits are not being received. But the other thing about making things free is just because even if you control the cost, that doesn't determine the quality.
It's very bizarre. It makes no logical, coherent sense.
So that is the moral, and then just the logical case of the claim that but when it comes to the mass murdering psychopaths today, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, who end up taking the power that the progressives proudly give the state, it unfortunately just runs completely dry when they're so passionate against Jim Crow.
Yeah. Thoughts on? So, look, Trump won Iowa, Trump won New Hampshire, he won both of them comfortably. Nikki Haley is staying in for South Carolina, but that's really...
Now like 80% of Republicans defend it, or it was like the deep state or something. So yeah, I don't know how we get out of this, I guess. It's a lot of people on the left. I'm very combative, you know. This is mostly like, well, there are parts of this that I definitely think are my fault, so it's not something that I feel very entitled to complain about. We're watching, and that's their first impression of that person. But so like that's a lot of negativity you set up at the beginning. I don't know. I think that like this is something that I've always tried to be better about, and I keep failing at it, which is just understanding beyond any individual criticism the broader stakes at hand, because I talk about other people failing to do this. So when I myself then go over a video from, say, for example, a person I'm on good terms with who I really like, and then make like, oblique comparisons to Nazi rhetoric, in retrospect, it's like, okay, it's not that I think anything that I'm saying is indefensible, right? Like, I love making comparison to Nazis. A lot of countries that import, I don't have a list in my head, but I remember looking at like relative lists of like countries and the price per amount. I think I remember reading that it could potentially lead to like increases in cost of shipping certain types of food by over 30%. So this is like policy wonkery on my part. I just really like international maritime trade. To me, it's like sacrosanct. Like attacking it under any circumstances would be like...
Or the Federal Reserve, they don't totally switch and start thinking about the masses, who they couldn't even comprehend the wants of millions of masses, even if they were the nicest people on the planet. So when the libertarian comes in with this understanding that humans are...
Gaza. That's my approach to it. I'm not in favor of like sending in SEAL Team 6 to murder Netanyahu or Ben-Gvir. I think that's bad. But I think that that's the approach that I'd be most comfortable with. Do you agree with my take there? If Kyle was Emperor of the world, would Emperor Vosh do a similar thing?
Well, disregarding your...
ruled 5-4 against me. Now I'm sending more Texas National Guard down there. Now I'm putting up more razor wire. And so you have this really weird standoff now with like the federal government versus...
to millions of people who never would have ever had access to a camera. John D. Rockefeller did this with access to oil. Cornelius Vanderbilt did this with steamships. Sam Walton did this with a number of consumer products that people can buy.
They're the ones who everyone wants to vote. It's almost like if you went, well, Joe Biden won the election with 100% of the vote. And that's bad because he's, he has a monopoly now on it. You're like, I don't know, it seems like he's doing such a good job that everyone's supporting him. But there are certain situations where I could think of that would be a true free market monopoly. And the first one that comes to mind is if you invent something new and bring it to market. The
interview that I had with him some time ago, I said, all right, you concede that, the state is provoking war with Russia, China, Iran. Do you still think people should be forced to fund that coercively? And he goes, yeah, that's how...
A more controllable guy. Can we get somebody who's a little more, like, malleable than Trump? And they couldn't. They can't.
Assuming whatever product we're talking about is still relevant at this time. So the empirical example I use on page 60, I cite Tom DeLorenzo in his book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Economics. He goes, this is kind of a wild theory. It's like